Hey guys, it's Eileen Castle with Eileen Castle Realty. Thank you so much for stopping by. Today's all about lending. I just had an interview with DDuran. He's amazing, he's so knowledgeable, there's so much information in this video. If you want to know anything about lending, if you're just getting started with the buying process, stay tuned.
Thanks for having me, Eileen. I'm DDuran. I am a loan officer for J&J Financial. We're a small direct lender that's located in South Orange County. That's where our headquarters is at. I'm based out of Huntington Beach. But with lending the way it is today, we serve all of California. I'm actually licensed in multiple states. I'm licensed in California, Washington, Oregon, Tennessee, Florida, and I have access to people on my team who are licensed in Texas, Nevada, Utah, Idaho, Arizona, and I mentioned Texas already. So yeah, so I'm licensed in all of those states. So if you have any lending needs in any of those states, I'm able to help you. And the answer is maybe. And that's the thing is, like, there's no one answer. Anyone who says yes, and they're just like, yes, you can, they're really lying to you. It really depends on your scenario, what you're looking for, what your background is. There's so many different questions that it really can't be answered unless I'm talking to you directly and I'm asking the right questions. That's why I recommend that the second that you decide you want to start buying a house, you go get pre-approved, because you need to make sure that you're qualified to get what you want. And as a specialist in lending, I'm going to be the one asking the right type of questions to put you in the right type of product. If at the end of our conversation there is no product for you, I'm just going to very bluntly tell you, like, unfortunately right now there isn't a path for you to get to home ownership. But that doesn't mean we can't plan something for the next 6 months, year, 2 years, 5 years, whatever it is. So there's a lot of different ways to choose a lender. I will assure you that every single realtor you ever work with is going to have their idea of who you should work with. They all have their ideas of who the best lender is. What it really comes down to is who you're comfortable with. You know, I'm obviously a little bit different than the guy who's gonna come in a three-piece suit, right? That doesn't mean that anyone's better or worse. I'm very comfortable with what I bring to the table as a lender. I know what I can do for you as a client, and this is who I am. But I have a breadth of knowledge that maybe the guy in the suit doesn't have. That doesn't mean that I'm better or worse. It matters who you personally relate to and who you want going to bat for you at the end of the day. So credit score is probably one of the most important things that we're going to be dealing with on the lending side. First thing I want to tell you is that the credit score that you get on Credit Karma is 100% bullshit. It really is. You're usually looking at about a 20 to 30 point difference, which in lending world is huge. It could be the difference between getting the loan, not getting the loan, on top of the fact of what your pricing looks like. So I like to use those tools, and don't get me wrong, it's a good gauge to see kind of where you're at. There's 3 different credit scores that every person has. You have TransUnion, Equifax, and Experian. The way it works is we use the middle of those 3 scores, and then that's what we use to determine if you're qualified for your loan or not. That's where it really is important to work with us on the lending side, so we can run your credit score so we know where you're actually at, not where you think you're at. The other thing is that things have gotten a lot tougher with COVID, to where, you know, a loan we might have been able to get done with a 690 in 2019, now we're not getting those approved. So that's where it's one of those things where when you're referring over anyone to me, I want to make sure we're getting a complete profile and really know if they are qualified or not. And the only way we're going to do that is by running their credit score. I know people have the idea of running credit score is like a bad thing to do, and sometimes it is, but when you're talking about your most important investment, which is your home, unfortunately it is something that we have to do. One thing to keep in mind is you can run your credit score as many times as you want in the first 30 days with as many lenders as you'd like, and it only counts as one credit hit or hard pull. So just keep that in mind. You're not limited to whoever you work with on the first transaction. A lot of lenders don't want you to know that because they're worried they're gonna lose the business. But for me, I'm confident in what I bring to the table. It's totally fine. Check all the lenders you want. At the end of the day, like I mentioned before, it's who you're comfortable with, and you know, I'll get you a full pre-approval before you go shop. The target score you're really looking for to make sure that you're going to get approved without any real red tape is 700. So if you have a 700 or above, you're pretty much in the safe zone. And even a 699, it sounds dumb that 1 point can make a difference, but it really does. I just had a client actually that I had a 699. We got a decline on their credit profile. We did a rapid rescore, which is something I can get into if any clients have questions. We did a rapid rescore. It went up to 701, and that was the difference between not getting approved and getting approved. So basically, Zillow and Redfin are both your best friend and worst enemy, especially when it comes to lending. LendingTree is another one of those. The reason I say that is because they're real good at giving you just enough information to get you to want to click through their link and make you think you're self-sufficient enough to get where you need to go and learn everything on your own. I kind of equate it to WebMD versus going to the doctor, right? It's gonna be just enough to get you into trouble. So you're gonna think that you're on your way to getting the best rate because you have 50 different lenders at your disposal. You're looking at the numbers. Numbers don't lie, right? Actually, quite the contrary, especially in lending. As a lender, I can make the numbers say whatever I want if you want to be completely transparent. I can give you a 1.99 rate. People always ask, what's the rate today? There's no rate today. That doesn't exist. There's not like a fax that we get that has a big ass rate on it, and that's what the rate is for today. Every rate is different for every person, and I can make the rate do whatever I want depending on what you want to do as a consumer. So that's why I say when you're going on Zillow and you get a rate, the top lender, there's probably lots of hidden fees in there. They're definitely quoting probably a $200,000 house in Nebraska. It doesn't apply to you whatsoever. So you're just kind of spinning your wheels. You're getting numbers in your head that don't even exist. And then when you come and talk to an actual lender who knows what they're doing and probably has your best interest at heart, you think that we don't know what we're doing because we're giving you something significantly higher than what LendingTree, what Zillow, what Redfin was telling you, because it was pretty much just BS. So there's lots of different types of lenders. Most people, when they think of buying a home, they think of going to the bank because that's what they've been taught their whole lives is when you're a kid and you get your piggy bank and you go get your bank account, like that's just what everyone thinks about. They think money, they think bank. And for the longest time, that probably was the best option for buying a house. In today's market, it just really isn't anymore. I'm a little biased because I work for a direct lender, and what I mean by that is we have multiple different lenders that we work with to make sure you're getting the best price. But on top of that, our sole focus is home loans. That's all we care about. We care about getting you in your home as quickly as possible, and that means closing quicker and getting your offer accepted. Banks, home lending is a very, very small portion of their business. It's not their most important thing by any stretch of the imagination, and it really shows in their quality of customer service. When you are working with a bank, your lender is on call from 9 to 5. That's it. It's just regular banking hours. If you have a question at 7 p.m. on a Friday, you're probably not going to hear from them until Monday. They are salaried. They're getting paid to show up every day, regardless of whether or not your loan closes. I do not have that luxury. So I'm very motivated by getting your loan closed. And so back to when I was talking about being on the same team, I literally care about your loan closing just as much as you do. And it really shows in the amount of effort I put into getting your loan closed. The bank officer, not so much. They're still going to be okay because they have their salaried position. My cell phone is attached to me at all times. I get back to someone within 24 hours without fail, and usually it's within 30 minutes to an hour to be completely transparent. So working with me versus working with a bank, you're getting better customer service. You're getting more lenders who are going after your business. Back to where I was saying where there's not one rate. With banks, there is one rate. You only have the bank's rate, that's it. If that doesn't work for you, it doesn't work for you. On top of the fact that banks, they are in the business of saying no because they're protecting their assets and lending isn't their only thing. For us, we want to say yes. We want to make sure that your loan gets approved. And what that means for you as a consumer is we're working overtime to make sure that we do everything we can to get that done. I'm not going to say all banks and all lenders at banks work that way, but more oftentimes than not, that's the case. And that's why when you're making an offer with a bank pre-approval letter, it usually goes to the bottom of the pile because the lender or the listing agent will know that you're not the top priority at a bank. One of the other differences about working with a direct lender at a small company like mine versus working at a bank is that I have direct connections to everyone in the loan process. I know exactly who the loan processor is. I know once it gets to the loan processor, I know how they operate. I know what I need to do to get them what they need to where it can get to the next stage, which is the underwriter. I have a direct line of communication with all of the underwriters. I know all of them. I can call them, I have their cell phone numbers. If there's a problem, I can fix the problem. Versus if you're at a bank, you're literally working with someone who may have never met the processor. Chances are they haven't. It may be in Madison, Wisconsin, you're in California. It may be a completely different time zone. You're working in different, time frames. But you're working with someone who you don't know. So if there's a problem, they don't know how to fix the problem. I do. I know that I need to assess the situation and get what this particular person is looking for. Your loan's gonna get closed faster. You're gonna make sure that you get every piece of information you need along the way, and you're gonna get it done in a time where you can get your offer accepted in a market where a 30-day close just doesn't work anymore. What you need to send to a lender to start the process is highly dependent upon the person itself. So if you're self-employed, it's going to be very different than if you're a W-2 salaried employee. If you're a senior citizen and you're, on a pension, it's very different than someone who's working a salaried job. It's very dependent upon who you are as a person and what you're getting qualified for. In the very beginning stages, having the conversation over the phone for 10 to 15 minutes, that will paint a very good picture for me on what we're gonna need, and then I will get all of that for you. Just something that I know we're gonna need for any person who's applying. We're gonna need 2 months bank statements. If you're an employee, we'll need 2 pay stubs, and chances are we're gonna either need your 2 most recent tax returns or your 2 most recent W-2s if you're a salaried employee. That's just a start, and then we'll peel back the layers like an onion as we talk, and then I'll have an idea of what the rest of it is going to be. But like I said, I couldn't really give a carte blanche answer based on everybody, because it's going to depend a lot on the person themselves. So one of the reasons that people like to work with me, and one of the reasons Eileen and I partnered together, is you're basically getting 2 loan officers for the price of 1. I partnered with a colleague of mine who's very good at what he does, and one of the things about the lending world is it's very busy, especially with the way things are going right now. It's really hard to get the average loan officer to answer your questions in a timely fashion, or at all, to be completely honest with you. So I determined that it was in the best interest of my clients more than anything else to partner with someone who I trust, so that we can make sure that everyone is addressed quickly. And if any of us is on vacation, because we all know that if you work too many hours, you're gonna burn out eventually, I have someone that I can piggyback off of. If I'm ever out of the picture, I will definitely let you know who to reach out to, but you're basically gonna have 2 people at your disposal. It really is 2 for the price of 1. You can reach me via phone or email. The contact information will actually be in the link here on the video, but it's 714-310-0898. Text is always easier to get a hold of me than phone, just so I can at least set up a time for us to call. If you shoot me an email, chances are it's going to be a couple hours before I respond. I'm just not always attached to my email like I am to my text messages. There's absolutely no cost to speaking with me. I actually would prefer that you reach out to me versus spending an hour of your time trying to self-research, self-diagnose what you're gonna need from a lender. I can usually knock that out in 10 minutes, and then it saves you time, and it saves me time as well, because if you come in with a bunch of misinformation, it's gonna take me more time to educate you on what you learn that isn't true. So just give me a call, it's completely free, and I'll make sure that I get you as much information on the front end as we can. I'm not the pushy type at all. I will make sure that I'm not taking an application, I'm not running credit, I'm just having a conversation, and if it turns into something, then great. If it doesn't, then you got your questions answered.
I told you he was awesome. I learned a lot today, and I hope you learned a lot today too. It's all about building relationships and putting your money in the hands of people that you can trust. I trust Dan, and I hope after this video, you can trust him too. Don't forget, Dan offered to answer any lending question you might have. His information's down below. If there's anything I can help you with, my information's gonna be down there too. Thank you so much for tuning in, and if you lasted this long, thank you, thank you, thank you. If you like what you're watching, like and subscribe so I know to keep making this content. Thank you so much for stopping by. I'll see you later.